We are in Selje, not Viking Valley. Another last minute trip, but look at the view. I do not have a gimbal with me, so hopefully this is going to be not too shaky, but look how pretty. So there's more light here than there is in Gudvangen, and that's because in Gudvangen we're in the middle of the mountains, but here we're right on the shore. That's the ocean. You can see that little tooth. So if you've seen previous where we've been in Selje, you can see the little tooth that you can't see there is clear as a bell today. So this is the weather in Selje, Norway, which is as far west as you can go in Norway without hitting England. Next stop England anyway, but where are you guys at and how warm is it? I am barefoot, so doing okay. Not that cold. Okay, other people think it's cold, but I'm not cold. So Audra's here, Albert's here. Nope, it's not just Audra and Albert, but wouldn't that be cute? Okay, and then Alan is here, and Renaud from Belgium. Audra, by the way, is in Norway from Lithuania, and Albert is from Norway. Nell is here from Finland. Susan Youngman chiming in from Frankfurt, formerly of Adirondacks. You knew I had to say that. Max Smiley is here. Where are you at, Max? And yeah, I see there's 10 people in there. Not everybody's talking. But anyway, beautiful view, and this is Selje. Yep, it's a last-minute trip. Karl will not be joining us today because YouTube crashes with dinner time. So he's having dinner with his family like a good boy, and I'm sitting out here and I'm going to needlebind because we were still driving yesterday and couldn't make it. Drea's here from my hometown of Duluth, Minnesota. Over there you can see the sunset. Raymond's here from Upside Down. Listening to a music set on Second Life, my friend from Wales. Aw. Okay, so today it's going to be needle binding heavy. No Karl means more needle binding. Lyra's here from Kansas, I believe. So I thought, I've been baking too, by the way, so I've got dough all over me. I can't bake. This is going to be funny, but Karl's father has an apple tree somewhere and a refrigerator full of apples, so we had to use it. Oh, I think I found the apple tree. That might be the apple tree in question. Yeah, that could be the reason why we're using up apples. Okay, anyway, but we're going to... Brit and Knut are here. Welcome from Selje. Look how pretty. Raymond started having Corgan stitch with alpaca yarn. Oh, how nice. Alpaca, it kind of like... oops, I'll turn this back. Alpaca kind of stretches slowly, but it's so soft. Okay, we're getting way down on the ground for this because I don't have a gimbal, which means I don't have anything to hold the phone with. So let's see if I can do this. Hopefully I'm not going to be upside down. It did not straighten. Okay, so we're going to have to get a little creative here. Chair, phone, and a block of wood. Hey, Doro's here from Germany. By the way, Knut and Brit were from Norway. You felt at home for a second because it was upside down. I was trying to do it upside down. Okay, let's see. Can you see my hands hopefully in the right way? Ta-da. Yeah, you can. Let's see if I turn the chair a little more so my leg isn't stuck. Okay, hopefully this isn't too bad. This is a shawl my mom knit because my mom loves me. I realized I just chose some yarn that's not going to show up too well, but we'll see how it goes. So I'm using cheap ass regular grocery store yarn in Norway, which is probably not so cheap in the United States. It is from Coop. That's the grocery store brand name. So you know this is the good stuff. No, but it's this is charcoal gray. And 100% wool. It says 100% pure new wool, and it can be felted, and it's the thick wool, Storm Tikul. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm going to use Oslo stitch, and I'm going to finger or thumb tension. So I'm going to do a wrist warmer and show you how I make some fitted wrist warmers, but this is just going to be a little short one. And I'm going to do the cardinal sin. I'm going to make one, and then I'm going to have to try to replicate the other one later, which means I might have my stitch count wrong, or I might have my gauge wrong or something. Let's see if I can find a lighter part of this shawl so it shows up more. So when you make these, you should always do 2 at a time. Like right now, I just cast on about 25 stitches. I suppose I could watch YouTube back and figure out what I did, but this is 25 stitches. I made it a little tighter at the beginning, and this is enough. Sorry for you left-handed, I'm right-handed. It's enough to go around the top of my hand because I'm going to do it from the top down. And normally when I do mittens, I like to do them the bottom up. But for some reason, if I'm not making a top, I like to do top down because it's easier to decrease than it is to increase. Okay, so 25 stitches in Oslo. And now I'll connect it to the previous row. They appear people in the house. Okay, so whenever you can, if you haven't done it before, you just like knitting, make sure that you have it flat and wrap around. And always stretch it, of course, before you put it together. So that you don't twist this, because if you twist this, you're going to get a Mobius, if I didn't kill the name of that, which is a bent circle. So, God, I did choose a horrible yarn to show. But anyway, it is the yarn color of the month is black, and this is almost black. So maybe I'm kind of fitting in. It's not quite black. Anyway, so the top row, then I will connect these, and I'll do probably about 3 rows of this. I'm using my massive needle. Not for the faint of heart, but I like this needle for Oslo stitch and thick yarn. It makes it go super fast. So if you're following up on any little Facebook drama, you'll see that there's a very interesting lady in Denmark who's not happy with me using fat yarn. This is me not giving a shit. Okay, you can use whatever yarn you want. Okay, so anyway, tell me what you guys are working on while you guys got to keep me company. I don't have a Karl here. I can see messages flashing up and round. I'm actually got to say I'm kind of, after sitting and baking and cleaning today, I'm happy to be outside. Arlene is here from Manitoba. She's got cold and rain. After last week, I'm kind of happy it's not raining. But it could be raining in Gudvangen, who knows. The weather changes when you have a mountain range. Let's see. Karin, can you tell us which book about the Vikings you showed us last time in the shop? I'd love to know the author. Crap, there was one called The Children of the Ashen Elm, which we might have shown for Blink, and that's Neil Price. That's my #1 pick if you're going to pick a book about the Viking Age. Karl recommended to me, so it can't be that bad. And my attention span when it comes to books is like 0. So that one actually kept my interest, and I finished the book twice. I did do the audio version, so that made it a little bit easier. But the audio version, I couldn't see the pictures in the book, and I'm kind of regretting that. So I do want to read it again. But that one covered everything from their burials to textiles they used, how many sheep does it take to make a sail, their treasure hoards, where they traveled to, what they ate, everything. And their Viking ships, of course. It's a really good book. So that one was The Children of Ash and Elm by Neil Price. In Norwegian, it would be Av Ask og Embla. And Ash and Elm, they are the kind of like the Adam and Eve of the Viking Age, would you say? Ash is a tree, of course, and so is Elm, or Embla, og Ask. Ah, yeah, there we go. Nell's got the other one. Pocket Museum by Steve Ashby and Allison Leonard. Thank you for putting that in there because I don't have that one in. That one is the thicker hardcover, but small. It's about that big, maybe. And it has a lot of art in it. And we use that thing often in the shop. We have it sitting out on the counter with a well-earmarked book to show all the different things that we have in the silver case. In bronze, and where they come from and where they were based off of. And it's a really good one. So that was the art one. I remember Nell was asking about that one too, so I'm so glad I sent it. She probably has a link where you can find it. If not, we have a crap ton in the store. Just let me know. But it does, shipping from Norway is expensive. So keep that in mind. We actually are on vacation this week. So next week, we might not be in Gudvangen either. But I will be back in the store and can fix things after that. Yeah, Children Ash and Elm by Neil Price. Wasn't there another one? Yeah, he showed... It had the title Vikings. That's probably the Pocket Museum one. The orange one. There was What else did we look at? We looked at a couple of the Greg's picks on mythology, and both of them I think were Neil Gaiman. And one of them was Stephen or Kevin Crossley something. One of them was the Penguin book of Norse mythology, and that one was very good for geekiness. Okay, now I have just, if you're keeping track, completed one row around, one extra row. So there I have my start row and one other row. When I get about this point, I kind of like to sew this end in so I don't lose it, which I'll do. I don't know how you weave your ends in. This is kind of weird how we do this one. For some reason, I would usually normally hide it behind it, but now I've started going forward because you've got these little angles. So I kind of want to replicate that. So I go forward one and then up, like a buttonhole stitch or a blanket stitch. And then I go back from the back side through the same hole. And then I mimic that line there. And you can't pull it too tight or you'll create like a hole in the beginning here. So you just kind of got to do it loosely. But, you know, it's not going anywhere anyway. So it looks kind of like that. You can see there's a jog, but I don't think you should hide the jog. I think it's quite cool that there is a jog in needle binding. Then I'll turn it around, find my end yarn. If it gets too dark, I'll go back and I'll go inside the house and see if I can find a place to hold the phone there. It's just the lighting is so yellow in that room. So hopefully that was you found out which book it was, by the way. That is the Vikings by Steve Ashby and Alison Edward, available in German, Amazon as paperback. Yeah, that would make sense that would come in a lot of language. It's like a little souvenir book. Go ahead and cut that off. Sorry, I'm outside, so I'm sniffling. Okay, so now I think I probably have to do about 4 rows. Try it on as you go. Always stretch out each row so you can see. It's still a little bit on the big side, but it's got one more row where it's going to get slightly smaller. I was explaining this on Facebook this morning on one group to somebody's post. I think it was this morning. When you do a chain row, your loops are only bound from side to side. After you do a second row, your first row is now bound side to side, and top to bottom. When I get this third row done, I can do a couple stitches there and you'll see. Maybe one more. I'm doing it fast, but this isn't really meant to be a tutorial. Okay, so now I have my third row done. You can't really see it too well, but that's this one in the middle now is my middle row. So now these stitches here are bound from side to side, bottom to top, and top to bottom. So when I get this row done, that middle row is going to be the determining size of how big my needle binding is or how tight it is. If it's still getting tighter after this, after the third row, it's because I've probably got too much aggression or rage or I'm tensioning incorrectly. And if it gets looser, same thing. Or I'm skipping stitches, for example, or adding stitches. So if your tension is getting smaller over the first 3 rows, that's normal. After that, then you got to figure out what you're doing. But remember the end row will always be looser than the middle rows. Okay, I'm going to catch up on chat real quick here. Nancy Lee Franson, hey, I'm so glad I have caught your live stream this week, and I love the colorway of that shawl. This is my mom. I think this was a Stephen West one. Nancy Lee is somebody I went to school with. It was Williams, I believe, at the time. And I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of Tara, another classmate who, she's 51. She was just short of her 51 birthday, first birthday, and died in her sleep. Can you imagine? So horrible to hear about that. Anyway, these are just a bunch of pieces that are put together, and they're not like square or anything. I think this is the Stephen West one. I'm not entirely sure, but I will find it. But I think my mom used 2 threads. No. This is just double yarn. It's actually, I don't think she used 2 threads. Maybe she did. But the idea is that you use your leftover yarn on this as long as it's similar weight. I will tell you, my mom is a yarn snob, so whatever yarn she used, whether it's 2 colors or one that's a double strand, it was probably expensive as hell. So good mom to have. But I love her colors. Ah, so good to see Nancy. It's been a while now. Vikings by Neil Oliver may be the other one you're thinking of, Nella. That could be. I'm not sure if we had that one in the shop. But I will tell you, the first time when we get back into Gudvangen, it's going to be too dark. We turn our clocks back on the 29th, I think it is. We go back 1 hour, but it's not going to help too much in Gudvangen. So soon we will be indoors. But the first day that we go indoors, we'll go in the shop and look at Karl's picks on books and stuff. It's quite nice to see. Plus, we got a lot of new handmade stuff this year if you haven't been there in a while. And what else is there to do indoors when you can't see the mountains and everything? Ha! How fun to see Nancy. I miss everybody from high school. I haven't been back since the 10th reunion because long-ass flight. Summer hours is usually when the reunions are, but it would be cool to see everybody again. And I'm very happy we have Facebook for this. Sorry, I have to fix my yarn length. There. Let's see. Catching up a little bit on chat. Audra says, I started with another pair of long socks up to where the legs starts for in red and brown color for myself. Her socks are beautiful if you haven't seen them. They're in one of the needle binding groups, if not both. Nalbinding and Nalbinding International, or Nalbinding International. It's NA with a circle over it. Binding. They're both pretty much the same group. The international group is new. It's only been up for a couple of months, maybe about 4 months now, 5. Because the people who created the Nalbinding Facebook group together have since split and it got ugly. So there's 2 groups now. But a lot of the same people in both. So, although I kind of like the international one because then you don't get that odd argument every once in a while where everybody thinks everybody should be speaking English. We all know how to hit the translate button in Facebook. So, and you can usually see it. It'll say something silly like needle binding will be needle tying sometimes. And then in German, sometimes it translates Masche to mask or stitch. The international one seems more relaxed. Oh, that's good to know. I've just been approving everybody who joins it. Kelsey created it and asked for some help, so she made me an admin, and we both run around and we're admitting everybody pretty much, so you don't even have to answer the questions. Just send a request. Now I've got 3 rows done, and we'll admit you, and then if you piss us off, we'll throw you out. For some reason, I like my start row, if you can see it there, to be on this side when I measure. But this would actually be, I'm holding it wrong. It should actually be this way because I'm going from top down. So here's my start. There's where I'm working now. I would like to do this till it gets right about here. So maybe 2 more rows. Let's see. Now it says there's also a new book about Viking women that's published in Oz, and it's shit expensive to get a book. I might know that book. Well, at least I know there's one called Viking Women, and it is like 899 kroner for this little skinny hardcover book. So I don't know if it was printed in gold or what, but holy crap. Almost 900 kroner, actually. I think it's a little over 900 now. But I think it's called Women of the Viking Age or Viking Women. We'll look at that book. I think we have one left. We don't keep too many of those in stock because they are expensive, and you really have to be a diehard Viking research to want that one. You can figure out the how much that is in dollars or euro, but it's a lot. You could buy a lot of yarn for that. Adrian, if he shows up or if he's here somewhere, he has been doing some research in that area. And he would be able to, I'm pretty sure he's got that book. If not, it's on his wish list or he's reviewed it. So out of curiosity, needle binding isn't a race. How fast do you do this? You can see why I like having a long needle, because I can push and grab onto a lot more. I appreciate the yarn snobbery more than ever, says Nancy. We will have our first grandson in a few weeks, and I want only the finest fibers touching his precious skin. Laugh out loud. That's so it shall be. That should be the way it is, especially because you don't need much of the snobbish yarn to make something for a baby. Congratulations, by the way. My girls are 14, so I hope I'm not going to be a grandmother anytime soon. They will be 15 on Valentine's Day. But, you know, it took us 7 years to make my kids, so I'm a little late to the game. It would be awesome. Yeah, Nancy and I used to work at Burger King. Was it London Road or Canal Park or Central Entrance? I worked on all three of those. But I think it was Nancy as well who helped open the London Road Burger King. That's how old we are. But I do remember working at Canal Park for a while, and I remember Nancy was there too. Okay, now I'm running to the end of my yarn. So Karl's mother has a little stash of yarn in the bathroom, just this one little bathroom that's not like a full-size bathroom with a shower or anything. And I don't know if she's knitting in there or whatever, but I had to use the yarn. And so I knit some slippers. I should have brought those with. It was at London Road and Canal Park too. Yeah, they had us working at a bunch of different ones together, but I think London Road was at least 3 years. By the way, this is a butterfly wrap. And I seem to be a little OCD about the amount of yarn that I use each time. I have to use about 20 wraps. We've covered that one before. Nope, I can't. She says, I still can't eat there much because I had so much of it. I gotta say, if I have to choose Burger King or McDonald's nowadays, for example, because there's not too much burger option in Norway, I would go with Burger King. And that is clearly because I remember watching how we made it. It is put on a grill and just kind of run over the, it just, all the fat kind of drips down. Whereas the McDonald's ones, I think, were just like flat on some sort of a pan thing, ready to spice. So I kind of figured maybe the fat wouldn't be sitting in so much into the burger from Burger King. But I got to admit, I don't do much burgers because of that either. I remember coming home with like really greasy forehead and stinking of French fries. All right. Maybe we should have worked at KFC. They don't actually have a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Norway yet. We only just got Starbucks about 8 years ago. Max says, I might need some advice. I am making fingerless gloves from the top. How many chain of stitches so I need to make for someone who's older than 12 years old? Go a little bit tight on your hand. So this is 25, but you can see how big my stitches are. I would say at least 20 because the 12-year-old isn't going to be much smaller than an adult. If anything, you can felt it a little bit. By the way, your end stitch is always going to look really big, but it's not. It's just that it hasn't been worked through the rest of the way. Let's see. Who else have we got here? Lisa Hannett, Viking Women, Life and Lore. Is that the one? Doris says, I have to leave early today because we go out for dinner with family tonight, and that's why I say bye in advance. Still listening. Ah, but I'm so glad you're here. Drea's a little slower at needle binding than me. Oh yeah, the other thing is depends on the stitch. I'm doing fat yarn and also stitch, so that's why I think 25 stitches seems to do pretty well for me. If I was using Finish 2+2 and a skinnier yarn, I'd probably need closer to 40. Just kind of measured around your hand. But if you got big man hands and if it's a little tight, just tightening that a little bit because that's where my join is. Then you might want to go a little bit. Duluth KFC is dying, overpriced, and Super One grocery store rotisserie and mix and match fried chicken is better and more affordable. These are the things, KFC is something that I actually thought I missed, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And then I went back to United States and had it for like the first time in, it was like 3 years. And I was so excited to eat it, and then I ate it, and I thought, what the hell? It suddenly tasted really greasy, and there's a lot of things. Your taste habits change. I used to love glazed donuts. I'd get one every day on the way to work. Yes, I'm not a skinny kid. And then when I came back, I wanted to try a glazed donut, and it was so sweet. I had to slam a coffee. They're still really good, but wow, in moderation. Kool-Aid, I used to love Kool-Aid. Now I really can't handle it. It's too sweet. What else was there? But it might taste different in other countries too, though. Like the Guinness, for example, that you get in the United States does not taste the same as the Guinness that you get in Ireland. Or on tap versus can. Anybody else have experience with that as well? With the taste buds changing? Another fun one is mushrooms. I used to like them as a kid. Not those kind of mushrooms. And then I stopped eating them around 12, and then I didn't eat them again until I was about, I don't know, 27 or so, and then I really like them again now. Wait, Karin, you drank Kool-Aid? I did. I drank Kool-Aid. You can't get Kool-Aid in Norway, so I used to bring it back with me. Lots and lots and lots of it. But now I think the only thing I do with it is dye yarn. Max says, I'll be turning 25 years around next month. Ah, congratulations early if I forget, by the way, or happy birthday early. Raymond says he has bunny paws. Let's see, what about someone who's on my age? My birthday in the next month is 19th. Okay, and you're 25. Then your hands should be about as fine as mine. Mine are somewhere large to medium. Super One baked instead of fried pieces is really good. Costco rotisserie is also so much cheaper, though, and it makes the membership worth it. Costco had just come to Duluth, I think, before I moved. I moved in 1997. My mom's a member there now, though, but I forgot Super One had chicken. You can actually get chicken in some of the grocery stores in Norway here, but not many. Most of the grocery stores here don't have butchers. A butcher department. I remember Super One did. Then here's really old up in Woodland, which is a part of Duluth that I'm from. There's a Piggly Wiggly, which is now Super One. That was owned by the miners. I think all of them were owned by the miners. But they lived up in Woodland. That one didn't have a butcher shop at the time, and I don't know if it, or butcher part on the time, and I don't know if it still does. Arlene says, I give Kool-Aid Pooh. He's out for Halloween. Already stocked up. Halloween is big in my town. Oh, shit, that's right. Halloween is coming up. That means Runa's going to have a birthday too. Runa Liseth. The one I got to get to play music on here again. We were going to have him do it this week, but things don't always go according to plan. We decided road trip instead. Pouches, sorry. I liked Pooh. Kool-Aid Pooh sounds way better than Kool-Aid pouches, Arlene. Kool-Aid Pooh. No, those little pouches, yeah. But then you realize how much sugar you're putting in it when you make that way. The holy crap. One cup of sugar, so 2.5 deciliters of sugar. Let's see. Nella says, oh, wait, no. Drea says the first time I dyed my hair was with red Kool-Aid. I didn't know you could do that, but I guess it makes sense if you can dye wool. Oh, I'm thinking of Sam's Club. Yes, says Nancy. Costco came just a couple of years ago then. Yep. Nella says quick and easy and possible to use your kitchenware. Ah. Yep. Nope, Kool-Aid's fast. Raym says I spent October in Michigan and Ohio a few years ago. It was awesome. Halloween stuff everywhere. The Halloween stuff has made it to Norway as well. Okay, I gotta admit this was a poor choice in yarn color to use because I'm not seeing my stitches very well. But they are showing up really well on camera, so it's getting a little darker now. So I can see the second half of this. I'm gonna have to go inside. Nancy said, I try to be grown up and eat the mushrooms, but it's a mouthfeel thing. I actually love the flavors, so we dehydrate and grind them to a powder for cooking. Try portobello mushrooms. It's almost like eating meat. I think that's what it was for me, too. I didn't like the texture of it, and there's still some things I don't eat because I don't like the texture of it, like raw celery. Old carrots, they're like fingers. Okay, I think I am, I don't know how many, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I'm finishing a 5th row here. Let's see. I can see I'm getting close to the beginning. It does want to whip out a little bit, by the way. I don't know if you see that there, the start point. We'll still want to bend out a bit. But it could be that I'm bumping it too. Arlene is allergic to celery. Ah, well, that's a good excuse to not have it. I used to put it in stews, though. I learned that one from my mom. Put it in chicken noodle soup. Okay, so now you can see it's a lot tighter than it was in the beginning when I first cast on, so to say. There's my start point. So it's a lot tighter now, 25 stitches, but that's because the middle part is all bound in all directions now. So that's why I always want to make it a little bit bigger when you start. But you can see I'm getting to here now, which I think I will maybe do one more row and then the thumb, because it's going to be pretty close. Let's see. Bends there a bit. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to do this to here. I always like to use this start on this end as an idea as to where I started at or how many rows I've done. So I think I'm going to do it here and check it again and see how it feels. Raymond says, I still cannot eat liver, not even with a bottle of Chianti or fava beans. I will eat the fava beans, but I can't have Chianti anymore. I'm allergic. So everybody here, we were having wine and beer, a little get-together last night. I happily had 3 cups of coffee with Bailey's in it, so I was both wired and a little bit tipsy. But at least I wasn't allergic and I was in good shape this morning. That's an odd thing, though. Did you guys ever get allergic to something as you got older? I used to be able to drink beer. I used to be able to drink wine, and around 46 years old, I couldn't drink beer anymore. And about 2 years after that, I couldn't drink wine anymore because I have just a little bit, and I will have a migraine from hell the next day until about 5 o'clock. I mean, we're talking nausea, everything. But I don't know where exactly it came from. One of my brothers actually became allergic to beer as well, but differently. He would get hives if he drank it. So I think he still does, but I don't have any skin reaction to it. I just get migraines. Raymond got allergic to hard work. Spoken like an Aussie. Shame on you, Raymond. I know my work ethic is still pretty good. My home ethic is not good. Let's see, there is my start point. So I'm at the point where I kind of like need to shit or get off the pot with a thumb because I would stop about here. But I think I'm going to actually unpick it and do it because this is sliding so far up to my knuckles now. So then, okay, the idea, here's where my start is, back here. I want to start my thumb about there. So I have to pick back a bit. Max says, I'm fatally allergic to ketamine, if I'm not saying that wrong. When it happens, I get really bad seizures, and worse, I might die. Okay, no ketamine for you. No shame. I have this. I remember that. Anne says she's got the same allergy. I think I remember you mentioning that once. What is actually that in, by the way? Ketamine, what is that in? Or is it like, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to stop right about there. I could do 1 stitch more, but you know, if it shifts a little, it doesn't matter. And then I need to do as many stitches as I need to go around here, but I'm going to skip 2 stitches here. It's getting a little harder to see now. So maybe 7? Let's try. You have to kind of test it on as you go. So these are chain. I would call it a chain stitch because to steal the crochet turn, but it basically means I am not connecting to the previous row. So, or loose chains, loose stitches. 1, 2. Oh, about hard work. 3, 4, 5. Anne is allergic to hard work, she says. I don't believe her, though. Okay, that was 5. I think I definitely want to go 7. Okay. Because I've seen her needle binding. They're not for the faint of heart. She's doing tiny stitches and thin yarn. Okay, so this is 7 stitches. So if I put it back on, so right about there, I want it to wrap a little bit tight. But I think if I jump over 2 stitches, it's not going to be tight enough. You see how it's like really pulling tight there? When it sits loose, it's like this, but tight. Same thing, you got to take into consideration that your next rows are going to make this much smaller than it feels. So I think I need to do maybe, let's just say 9, maybe 9. No binding is not working. Okay. Good point. Unless you're selling it, then it is. I sell a lot of mine, but... Okay. Try again now. There's 9 stitches. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I think I like 9, and then I'll jump over 2. Skipping 2. Okay. So you kind of have to kind of test it, and then you do 1 row, and then you test it again. Because you can pick it out, but you needed more. Now I see the light is getting kind of shit here. 1, 2, there's my third. Max says, whenever I told someone I can't have Special K, they immediately thought it was cereal, but I actually tell them it's K-tamine. I like that, calling it Special K. Okay. Now that was one connected. I'm going to connect out this row, and then we might be able to go inside. I see that the light from the house, though, which is bright behind me, I'm on the deck. The light from the house is starting to show up on my hands, so we might be able to get away with this if I could figure out how to thread my wool. 1. I can hear the fishermen out there. Enough stitches? 9! Says Raymond. Let's see. Catch up on you guys a little bit. Nancy says, oh, there you go. Ketamine is what they use when you have surgery, especially the short procedures. They call it conscious sedation, and you don't remember, but you're not really fully out. And it's a party drug plus new treatments for mental health experiences. Ah, I did not know that. I was awake when I had a C-section. That's how my kids came, because they were twins, and twins have a chance of getting hung up on each other. So C-section was an option, which I happily jumped for. That one they had me awake for, but that was just a blocker or something in my spine, so I couldn't feel any of the work being done below. They asked if I wanted to have a mirror so I could see what they were doing. I said, no, I'm good. Let's see, getting harder to see stitches here. Okay, maybe I'll try one more. This is the downside of having a long needle, is when the string gets too short, you kind of have to push the needle through without the yarn in it and then thread it. But I see I'm going to have to go inside here. Okay, so now this should be a little, stretch it out. This should be a little too loose because the next rows are going to make it tighter. And I think I'm happy with this. You can see it's got room for like another finger in there, but it's going to get smaller. So that was 9 around, and I skipped 2. It started with 25. Now we'll take a look at the scenery and run in again to the light. Let's see. Pretty. Okay. Again, I don't have a gimbal, so the camera's going to get shaky. First, shawl. See if I can get up off the floor. Ah, I'm too fat for this. I did it. Okay. Look. Pretty. Sunset. I'm pretty sure we're almost out of sun in Gudvangen, but Selje, of course, because it's coastal, does. The sky was on fire the other night. The picture, it was Ida Schipsnes who took the picture that I have on the cover. It's actually got houses in it in the full picture. You can see it on her Instagram, but I cut that part off because Viking. So that was actually not the sky over here, but the sky on the other side of the house over there. That's where you could see the northern lights, and they were the brightest I've seen in a long time. Yeah, look at the pretty clouds. But yeah, I'm gonna turn you so you can see me, and we'll go in the house. I've got my crap with me, and we'll find a better light and see if I can find a place to support the phone. Look, like 3 chins there now. I'm getting old. Okay, probably the Kool-Aid, glazed donuts, KFC, burgers. All right, I'm American, I'm allowed. Okay, back in Karl's bedroom here with the, wait for it, no, there, Christmas star over the bed. Gotta love Karl's mom. Okay, let's see if I can find a way to support the phone. Yeah, he stole a bus sign when he was a kid. What a rebel. This is his childhood room. Okay, I think I've got my feet covered. Let's wedge this sucker. And hopefully You can still see. It's wedged between a mattress now. I don't know if you can even hear me actually when I do that. Nope, let's try here. Ah, this is not going to go so easily. I have to find something else. It's because the mattress is soft and I was wedging it on a chair before. Let's see. Ah, almost. Okay, so I'm trying to wedge it between these mattresses here to figure if I can do this without a phone mount. Nope. See, it's probably scraping big time in the mouthpiece too. Let's try the edge of a Norwegian chair. By the way, beautiful furniture in Norway. That's a Viking. What a shocker that Karl's got one of these. I'll have to ask him who made that earlier. Okay. Wedging it on the chair. Or, oh, I know, up here. Ha! Did that work? Yay! Where there's a will, there's a way, and you can still see hands. I can't see chat very well because I'm kind of on... If my butt had tippy toes, that's what I have to do to see this. Okay, so if you couldn't see very well earlier, let's see. This is what it looks like now. There's my start point is back here just as a reference because I have to do the same thing for the other hand. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, 25 stitches for me. And then stopped about here, did 9 stitches, skipped 2. And then I'll have to finish this row and then try it on again and finish another row and try it on again to see if it's still fitting, because if not, I have to pick out the rows and adjust my thumb. But I think I'm pretty happy with the way the thumb is. Let's see. More reps. Ah, there's Adrian. Adrian, what did you think about the Viking Women book, by the way, if you haven't written already? The one that's mentioned in chat much, much, much further up. While I splice. Let's see. We were talking about that earlier, and I thought maybe you'd seen that one or had it, and so I brought up your name. It was like your ears were ringing or something. Yes, I spit splice, not corona friendly, but after 72 hours, whatever's on there is probably dead. No, I don't have corona. See. Okay. Catch up on chat a second. Okay, Remus says, I saw an interview with Chris Hadfield, the astronaut, and he said he did a spacewalk and the aurora was streaming past him over Tasmania. That would be so cool to see. This one was only green. I didn't get to see the brighter lights, but we did have to get up at 3 a.m. to see it. But I got to say, that's probably about the first time in 20 years that I've seen the aurora borealis. We could see them in Duluth. If you were out in the country, you'd sit up on the roof of the garage and you could see the northern lights, and they looked similar to what I saw yesterday, or the night before yesterday. But, you know, you get the colors in there, but this one, they're supposed to be much more clear and much brighter colors, a bit like these. But they weren't out when we were looking now, but it was nice to see it again. Okay, so Adrian says, I find it rather interesting that during my studies, none of the books I have read seem to take into question that or try to summarize the factors that what factors made Norwegian kings kings, according to the sagas. And it is women in the Viking age, or kvinner I vikingtiden. Oh God, what's the differences? I was thinking maybe one was in Norwegian, because it means the same thing in Norwegian. I can see if I can find it further up. It was Doro, I think, who was, no, not Doro, was asking about a book, and then I think Nella might have brought this one up. I forget. Let's see. Way up. Further. Yarn snobbery, that was a fun time. Here we go, now we're in the books. We were talking about Vikings by Neil Oliver. Oh, yeah, that one, too. Yeah, Vikings by Neil Oliver. It's a BBC book. Neil Oliver does a lot of documentaries. And so that one's actually pretty good. We just have a crap ton of those books because we accidentally double ordered them. So Nella said there's a new book about Viking women, but as it's published in OZ, and shit expensive to get as a book in Europe. So that would be a new one. So that's clearly not the one that we have, by the way. I missed that one. Oh, by the way, I missed this one earlier too. Oh, crikey, said Raymond. Clock change, that means I have to keep my eyelids open with matchsticks. Stream will start at 1 a.m. Oh no, Al, yeah, but don't you guys change your clocks too, by the way, in Upside Down Land? The Aurora is beautiful. We see it a lot here, says Arlene. Yeah, we get it in the north anyway. Even though actually Duluth is much further south, about a whole degree of latitude south from where we are in Norway. You probably did dream about the aurora tonight, Audrian, because it was out. Can you see hands still? Yeah. Okay. More to go. I'm actually doing pretty good time on this one. 45 minutes of screwing around, and I will have a pretty good dent on this. Okay, so now I need to do, like I said, one full row, and then try it on, see if I'm still happy with the size. And then we start decreasing down a little bit towards the wrist. I'll usually do my decreases along this line on the thumb by doing two together. As long as you can get it over, you got to keep trying it on every row though, because if you make it too small around here, you won't be able to get it off or on very easily. So you can only decrease just enough to make it fit. By the way, Nancy and I are from the class of 1991. Nancy, I don't know if you saw Drea I Jam in Sweatpants. She's also from Duluth, but she's probably about 10 years younger, I think, if I remember correctly. And on the hillside. So one of these days, we will meet when I come back into Duluth again. I haven't been there since before COVID. Trying to, but we got our first vacation since COVID this year, and we ended up going to England. Because I promised my kids I would take them to London. I will never do London in August again. Holy crap, that's a lot of people. I mean, it was fun. The weather was rainy or super hot. But it was shit tons of people everywhere. On the train, off the train, in the tube, outside the tube. Through every place we went, there was shit tons of people. So my favorite part about London was the hotel room, and that wasn't very impressive. It was a nice bed, and there was room service. But I'm not in any hurry to do London again. If you haven't done it, you probably should live it once, but it's really easy to find your way around with public transportation. But it is so crowded. We are going to go back to England at some point to go and see the armory that Karl wanted to see in Leeds. We decided we'll just do a weekend trip from, that sounds like such a quick jaunt, but a weekend trip from Norway. So it's a 3-hour plane ride. And then just go there. But I have got my passport is now being updated. I sent it in September, the beginning of September, 4th, I think. And it's still not back yet. And from what I understand by my mom, it could take easily 6 months to get it in. The passports, she said my aunt put a rush, actually paid extra for a rush order on her passport, and it still took 4 months. So it might be a while before we go to Leeds, but that's the plan. All my vacations went to Duluth for so long. It's kind of nice to see something different as long as my mother is able to come here and visit, which she does. Like twice a year she'll come by on some sort of cruise ship connecting her before. Okay, I've done one row around. Now I'll stretch it out again. Put it back on. It is still comfortable. It's almost looking a little too big, but again, I'm going to be picking up at least 1 or 2 rows and going around here. But I might have to do that part next week. I'm not sure we'll either be in Gudvangen or Selje. We do have the weekend off, so... Alright. I will catch up on chat for a second. Okay. Raymond says, I'm class of 91 also, but I'm younger. How could you possibly be younger than me, 91? Thank the gods you didn't get stabbed. No. Ah, yeah, Raymond says no clocks, no changing of the clocks here on the west side of Australia or in Queensland. You can get up for us, Raymond. I'll keep letting you know if we have to suddenly last minute cancel a Saturday because we happen to be running. Drea says, class of 2003. I went to Woodland and then moved to a tiny town for high school. My grade got pretty much every toy banned from Woodland, and now they just call them fidgets. I saw that they tore down Woodland Junior High and put in apartment buildings or something. I don't remember, but they tore it down, which is so. Oh. Nancy and I went to Woodland together too, by the way, not just East. Woodland Junior High School for 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. And when we were seniors at Duluth East High School, that's when the 9th graders came in. Maya, sorry I'm late. Nevada, it's 65 degrees. I finally got it. No big loop at the start. Thank you. Ah! Yay! Arlene's going to change their clocks on November 5th, yeah. I think United States and Canada is about 1 week either before or after, in this case, after. Ah, Raymond says they graduated at 17 down there. See, they're doing everything backwards over there. No. You could be 17. I was, it depends when your birthday is, I guess. I was born in 1972 in October. And my parents wanted us to be rather older in the class than younger in the class. So I could have actually I could have been the class of 1990. Then I would have been in the same class with my brother, who is also born in early October. I think the cutoff date was somewhere around the middle of October. Because we did have some classmates that actually were exactly a year younger. But still in the same grade. There we go. So this is the third row that will be going around the thumb here. It's kind of like thinking of it in rows of 3. Once you do 3 rows, you'll have a feeling of what the gauge actually is. And minute 52. Hopefully I'm decreasing at some point here. Is that a Karl? How was dinner? I'm still got like 8 minutes left. It's a Karl. Look.
Hello.
It's a Karl. And Selje kunde. Are you getting iced coffee? Oh, okay. Tell everyone I said hi. I'll be up in a little bit. Did you burn the cake?
No, the cake is fine.
Is it good?
It took longer than you said, but it looks excellent.
Ah, yay. I can't bake a cake, but I made one. Yay. Okay, bye, Karl.
Bye.
No, so I never make cakes, but we had so many apples. So I did this. I looked up a recipe. I went with the Norwegian one because then I don't have to worry about measurements and temperature and all that. So I went to matprat.no, M-A-T-P-R-A-T, it means food talk, .no, and they have a bunch of recipes on there. Oppskrifter, they say in Norwegian. And I found one called langpannekake because we had a lot of apples. So the langpanne is the pan that is literally the same size as the oven. And it's, of course, deep. So I don't know how it was going to turn out. And then I realized that the pan I wanted to use was in the dishwasher, which was on some eco-friendly 5-hour cycle. So I had to grab 2 smaller dishes and split up the cakes up in there. So I had no idea how it was going to take. The fact that it took longer, I guess, is a bit of a surprise. I would have thought it would have been quicker. But then again, the grocery stores here, except for, of course, Gudvangen, are closed on Sundays. So I had to go with whatever ingredients we had in the refrigerator. I was supposed to have a crap ton of butter, and usually buy the bar of butter and cut it up to make the cake with, but didn't have enough of that, so we had to use the tub of butter, which is like what, Crisco type. It's like really soft and made to spread easily on the bread. So I ended up chucking that in there. Hey, it's the same. Butter is butter, right? Not to mention it was margarine. So I have no idea how this thing's going to turn out, but, if we didn't use the apples, we wouldn't have used the apples. But I think the last time I made an apple cake is probably, oh God, maybe 9 years ago when my kids were small. If it turns out, you can freeze it in portions. So maybe I continue this next week. I thought I was hoping I'd get a little bit further on this than I did. But because now that we've got the thumb done, the next thing to do is I like to decrease it. You don't have to decrease. You can just make it go straight here, but then I don't like having all this extra fabric here when wearing wrist warmers, so I like to decrease just enough for it to fit a little snugly without being too tight. So we have that to do, and then picking up a little bit around here, the thumb. You don't have to pick up stitches there and do like a row or two, but I do because I think it makes it much more durable. Now you can see I'm on the long end of the needle again, running into the bad side of the long needle. The leftover string is too short, so I have to do it this way. For every upside, which is better grip, there's a downside, which is not allow me to constantly rethread the needle. Okay, so stretching it out, trying it again. Ta-da. No, I'm happy with the hole. That sounds like a really loaded compliment. Comment. Anyway, so what I will do now is I can see that it's starting to separate from my hands a bit there, if you can see. Maybe I'll do one more row. And then if it starts to, when it starts to separate a little bit, then I'll start decreasing, but I like to kind of decrease on this part of my thumb. This is another way by having it as inside, outside, or right side, wrong side. If I have that end there, then I know which is which. So I will decrease two together, so down here until it's a little bit snugger here, but I'll need to make sure that it fits over my wrist. If I make it too tight and I can't push it off easily, then I've gone as far as I can. And then I will pick up, because needle binding for me is left to right, I will always have to pick up on this side, which on the other hand will be here. And then I will put a row of stitches here, and maybe just one row, but might do one more depending. I won't go all the way up, but I'll go up to about here, and that'll make this join here and this join here a bit more stable. And then there's the, because you can't just leave it like this. This is fine, a lot of people do, but this part I notice is something that I have to repair a lot on other people's gloves because they get worn out here real quickly. You see how you're putting a lot of stress on too? So if I put a row around there, then there's not as much stress on those. But I will, when I get another row in here, there will be a weak spot here, and I get it on socks as well around the heel. So I'll have to have a longer tail and weave that tail eventually in there so you can't see it anymore. I do not have a good method of closing off that area. So if you've got one, let's see what you can come up with. Okay, gonna catch up a little bit because I've got 3 minutes left, so I don't think I'm gonna get much further, but I could save this and we can do it ready next week. Just in case I don't have Karl here, because if we're visiting family, that means this might crash with dinner time again. We're gonna aim for Saturday at 6 o'clock, but yeah, where am I? Christmas star. We'll aim for Saturday, but if shit hits the fan, whatever, because dinner's and other stuff unplanned, then we'll go on Sunday. But it'll always either be Saturday or Sunday. So let's see. Hey, I got 11 likes and 11 people on. Thank you. Okay, catching up. Max says, anyway, I'm kind of nervous and excited about going to college on Wednesday to have a Halloween party. The best parties, the best Halloween parties were at college. We went to, Nancy, didn't you go to some of them at UMD? We went to them. They were pretty good. Probably the most memorable Halloween party was, of course, 1991. Nancy knows what I'm talking about because she lived through this too. That was the megastorm. Look it up. It's on Wikipedia. Duluth, Minnesota. The Halloween megastorm of October 31st, 1990. Was it 93? 93 because it's 21 could drink. Okay, so 1993. Sorry, I think I said 91. 92.6 inches or something of snow dropped in one night. 3 storms hit in the same night. And then we all got marooned. Oh, that's a fun thing. Anyway, everybody's got a story. Where were you for the megastorm? I thought that was, no, it wasn't 91. It was 93. But it was Halloween night. We were all staying over at UMD because they were showing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We were just going to stay at my friend's dorm, which was meant for 4 people. We were 9 people. We weren't really talking to each other after that. We got stuck there for 4 days. Let's see. What else do I have? Drea says, I was there the day they tore down my aunt's old house. Side note, Miss Olson was the best English teacher ever at Woodland. I remember that one. I didn't have her, though. I had Roy Magny and I had business English. I forget who else my English teachers were. I gotta get out my yearbooks. I'll tell Karl everyone said hi. Try not to shake the phone too much. And Ramus is in Australia. They used to have the cutoff start of January, but it's all changed now. I think it's in July. My nephews are graduating this year, and they turn 18 in December. Norway, it is the cutoff is the year. So my kids are born in February 2009. That makes them one of the oldest ones in their class. But they've got, so they'll be it'll be a little different for them as well. Because it literally does go January, December. So they have a really good friend who is born on December 8th, I think. I think it was December 8th. Anyway, really good friend of theirs, and then they start going to school, and now that one is a year ahead of them because the cutoff, even though they're only 3 months difference in age. That was the cutoff for the school. Let's see, what else am I catching up on here? Max says, it's mostly intended for people with disabilities because my neighbors, including myself, along with that, I may have to take my anxiety medications with me in case I have a panic attack. Okay, you can panic attack. Definitely take the medications with you. Don't mix with alcohol unless you can. Once again, this video is not for kids, said Raymond. Nope, it's not for kids. And it does say that on there actually. So okay, I think I have a semi-plan. If I don't have Karl with me next week because this crashes with dinner, we're gonna do the rest of this wrist warmer, and I'll save it so you can do the decreases. I'm now going to have to watch this back and make sure I make the other hand just the same. So I should have another one going. This is 50 grams, this yarn. Should be enough for 2 of them if I don't make them very, very long. Enjoy my family time. See you next week. Thank you. Wikipedia said Halloween Blizzard is 91. It was 1991 then. What in the heck? I'm getting too old to remember. The first thing to go. But yeah, anyway, read that up. It was really cool. There's a lot of amazing pictures on there too. It's still, I think, the biggest megastorm on record for the United States. So, beat that, Norway. Okay. Anyway, thanks for playing with me. I'm going to go and see how that apple cake turned out. Karin doesn't bake. Okay, see you next week. Bye.